Hey everybody, I'm Scotty J. You are watching Rock Titan Music Television. I've got an awesome guest with us right now. When he's not crawling in the dark, he is the lead singer of Hoobastank. I'm speaking with Doug Robb. Doug, how you doing, man?
I just finished crawling in the dark to get to this.
Right? Oh man, so
good.
push-pull. It's only been 6 years since Fight or Flight. Now you got push-pull. Finally, it's out.
I know. I guess technically, yeah, it has been 6 years.
Right?
But when did it come out? When it was like at the end of the year, so it was basically.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been a while, and I didn't even realize.
Yeah. Well, I noticed that with some of your earlier releases, like when you first started experiencing commercial success, even though Hoobastank's been around since the 90s, you guys really burst onto the scene, with Crawling in the Dark in like 2001. And then there seemed to be like a few years between each one of your album releases, of course, with Push Pull coming out now. This is your 6th studio album, yeah?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, there's so many factors that go into that.
Right.
Being 26 and without a family is kind of a large factor too.
Uh-huh.
Where you can just dedicate your whole being to just being on the road and pumping out music and stuff like that. And also, record companies, they have a schedule, man. They want you to. They don't want you to take your time. They want to get as much out of you, while you're hot. And
they want their money.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, so there's a few factors that were involved.
And Hoobastank set the bar kind of high. I mean, as soon as you guys burst onto the scene, you guys are cranking out Billboard hits right away. I mean, now not all bands, especially in like the rock and roll, heavy metal genre of music, it's not necessarily always that commercial friendly where a lot of your mainstream, radio stations and stuff want to play it. Such is not the case for Hoobastank. I mean, you guys came out, pretty heavy.
I mean, that was never an intent. Like, it's not something you look back and go, I wish it never happened. But that was never. You always take success, however, whatever it means to you and however you get it. But that was never, something we intended to do. We always knew that we would get songs on radio and stuff like that. But it was as much a surprise to us back then as anybody else, I guess.
Right. Now, you talk about record labels, and them wanting to, squeeze the juice out of you as much as they can. You are now with Napalm Records. You guys just recently signed with them, earlier this past year, I guess. How's that relationship been so far?
So far, it's been great. I know it doesn't sound like initially it doesn't sound like a match made in heaven. It seems kind of like an odd fit. Being that they're a European label with lots of just heavy metal and
right.
stuff, but they're trying to branch out and do some other things. But they've been really supportive. They actually, the other day, I was speaking with somebody from our management, and he had said that he asked Napalm, like, what are you guys expecting for first week sales and stuff like that? And they kind of said, oh, it doesn't matter. We're in it for the long haul. It's not
nice.
Really about first week sales, which is a complete 180 from, I guess, like the early days, what you're talking about, where these record labels, they put so much money into advertisement and promotion, and it's kind of, they put all their eggs in one basket,
Yeah.
Similar to like a big movie,
Okay.
where those sales numbers for that first week are so important because it kind of dictates whether they're going to keep pushing you or not.
Right. Right on.
So if they spend X amount of dollars and all their promotions, and it comes out, and you could have decent sales, but it isn't headline making, and immediately you're already next song, put a little less into, and we'll see what happens. And because there's a whole roster of bands that are behind you that are waiting for their turn too.
Sure.
And so that kind of, in a way, like obviously if it works, it's really great. But more often than not, it doesn't. You know how many bands get that rollout and then it doesn't work and then they just are forgotten about?
Well, you would know better than I would. I would
don't hear
imagine.
about it anymore.
Yeah. No, I know you would probably know better than I
Yeah,
would.
so, So to hear, like, you know what, it's not about what happens right away; it's what happens. It's not how you start; it's how you finish. You know.
Right on.
That was refreshing and something I really appreciated to hear from a record label.
Yeah. Now it's funny you talked about the match, between Hoobastank and Napalm a little bit ago, because I'm trying to curious listening to Push Pull. Now I've only had the chance to listen to Push Pull because that's one of the releases you had out there, as well as what's the other one you got out there right now? You've got
More Beautiful.
More Beautiful, yes.
Yeah.
I couldn't help
You know
but
what?
notice such a different.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I couldn't help but notice such a distinctive sound difference between Push Pull, like at least off those couple tracks that I've heard so far, versus everything Hoobastank had done before. Is that something that you have heard from like feedback so far, or is that something that you were intentionally going for, or am I just totally way off base?
It's you're correct as far as feedback, incorrect as far as intentionality.
Okay.
Ironically, those two songs are probably the most different sounding Hoobastank songs.
Okay. All right.
So the rest of the record, I wouldn't say is. I think it still sounds different.
Okay.
So, that just happens to be what everybody in the band and all the talking heads that are involved with the band said, these are great. You should go with these.
Right on.
And it definitely wasn't intentional. It's just I don't know. It's funny to read a lot of feedback, because I try to stay away from it, but
sure.
There's been a fair amount of what on earth is this, and it's so funny to me because it seems natural to me. It's a song we wrote, and if you knew more history about the band, you knew that there's we used to do a lot of funk stuff, but that's going way back.
Sure.
And also there's a little bit of irony to it because the meaning behind the message behind the song Push Pull, it's not a guy meets girl
You
song.
beat me to it. So yeah, I wanted to talk about the message because it seemed like there was a very strong message that you had in that song, and I know I had my interpretation of it. So what is it? What does it mean from the mouth
honestly,
of Doug Robb?
A good friend of ours years ago, we were having lunch and talking about goals and achievements and all that kind of stuff, and how to go about obtaining them and things. And he said to me, "So you don't want to be on the push side of things; you want to be on the pull side of things." And he elaborated. I mean, I knew what he meant already, but he's like, "You don't want to try to force your way into, someone's heart or people's affections, or force your way into the goal you're trying to obtain. It's better to be pulled into it by, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's better to just unabashedly be you and don't compromise to try to, I think this person wants me to be this way, so I'm going to be that way.
Right.
And then, rather than just to be you, and you know what? Maybe that person is the person that you wanted that ends up being with you, but the right, person will be there for you being you. And musically, it's kind of the same thing. I'm like, you know what? We're just gonna do what we do, and especially a song like that. When Dan, our guitar player, if you heard the demo of that song, it doesn't even. I mean, it's basically like a keyboard bass. That's it. It's so basic. I had to chop it up and kind of throw it together.
Interesting.
And it turned into what it is naturally, and we even tried to. I don't know. I don't want to say old Hoobastank, but like you get a little nervous when you're walking down that path, going, "Oh man, it doesn't really have. It's got these cool funky guitars, but it doesn't really have a heavy riff." And Dan, our guitar player, had a heavy riff, and there was a moment that there was a really heavy riff in the song, but it felt so contrived.
Okay.
And so it felt like, oh my God, what if somebody who really likes our heavy stuff hears this and doesn't like it? Like, we're like, fuck it. That's not. It wasn't appropriate for the song.
Right.
So, like I said, we're just gonna do our thing, and in the process, you know what? We might alienate some people. It's not an intentional thing, but also in the process, there's gonna be new people who really appreciate what we're doing. So, that's kind of the irony of it all. Like, people complaining about it.
I was just gonna say that's the message of push pull. You know,
right.
It's like you're just going to let it happen organically. You're not going to try to force anything. It's going to be what it's going to be. But like you said, I mean, your true fan base of Hoobastank, they're going to be there. And here's the beauty of it. You've only released 2 tracks to the public so far. Of course, the rest of it is all out now, you know? And for everybody watching this, you know, go check them out on TV. You guys you filmed this in concert. You have this concert production that's going to be on DirectTV, AT&T, I believe. Yeah?
Yes. Yeah. It's on the Audience Network. It's definitely on DirectTV. I think it might be on another, maybe Comcast. I'm not really sure. But Audience Network, look it up. It's going to be on at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But so you can record it, or honestly, I hear it's going to be on a lot.
All right,
so
awesome, man.
It's going to be a lot.
Very cool.
So if you miss it tonight, there'll be other opportunities. Yeah, it was a cool thing. I'm not really a big fan of TV shows, to be honest with you, performing on TV shows. There's a few factors. I rarely think bands go on TV, especially rock bands, and come off sounding good, including ourselves. You know, like I've seen performances of some of my favorite bands and going, oh, what happened? You know, like, and like I said, and ourselves. It's a very sterile, weird environment. It's like you're on a TV set, and there's cameras moving around, and then there's like 50 feet of dead space, and then grandstands with people watching the show. It's very unlike what we're used to, and we played the whole gambit of venues. Right. But there's still, TV shows are always very weird. And but this show was totally different. It was intimate. You know, we invited as many fans as they could possibly fit in the studio, and they were there, and they were right up on the stage, and honestly, it just felt like a show. At some point, I forgot there was even cameras there. So
nice.
That kind of thing is a lot cooler to me than.
So we're not going to see on Jimmy Kimmel or Fallon or Saturday Night Live. We can't look forward to seeing Hoobastank on any of these late night shows now.
Pardon me?
We can't look forward to seeing Hoobastank on Jimmy Kimmel or Fallon or Saturday Night Live.
You know what? If like I said, it's one of those necessary evils. It's like if they go, hey, we want you to play, we're going to play. We're going to do it. Right. But it's not one of those things I go like, oh my gosh, woo, it's going to be so awesome. Granted, I've seen some performances on those shows that I've been blown away by. Yeah. So maybe I'm just saying I don't like playing on TV.
All right. Well, so that segues into this, and then I'll let you go because I know time is short and you've got a lot of things to do. Official music videos. Are we looking at doing anything off the Push Pull album? Is something already in the works, or what's going on?
Yeah, you know what? There's one. We have a video that's actually in the editing stages for the song Push Pull. Okay. Videos nowadays, man, I'm sure you obviously know, it's not like Guns N' Roses doing November Rain anymore, Right. It's a complete, or honestly, it's not even like us doing The Reason, a handful of years ago. It's a completely different animal. The budgets are minuscule. You have to get more creative to be, because you basically can't buy your way into something looking cool. Sometimes you gotta just get really creative with things. So
yes, indeed.
Yeah, so there'll be some videos.
All right. Now, how do you feel about making those versus making appearances on TV?
Videos are fine. I think videos are cool. Yeah. But they've got to be, for me, the videos I like to watch are the ones that are either super clever or super funny and clever. Okay. I don't like watching performance videos. Right on. I hate, hey, look at this band rocking out in front of this majestic background, I think that's been done 18 million times. That's me, though, man, That's cool. There's a whole generation of kids who haven't gotten enough of that, so.
Yeah. Well, speaking of kids, parting ways, at this
Okay.
point. But you were talking earlier, things were a lot different when Hoobastank first came out. And you're cranking out albums, and you're just living for the music and everything. Now it's been 6 years, since Fight or Flight, even though it doesn't feel like it. But you're a family man now, So
Yeah.
how's life been, as a family man and, the lead singer of Hoobastank? How are you making that balance work?
It's been great. I haven't had it. Like we've been fortunate enough to. I have a 7.5-year-old daughter and a 4.5-year-old son.
Yeah.
To play music and record music, and at the same time, kind of pick and choose when we want to go play.
Very cool.
It hasn't been like a necessity. Like Doug, we have to do this tour. You're going to be gone for 6 weeks. We've been able to go like, no, I don't really want to be away from my family that long. Can we do something shorter? Or can we just play some whatever?
Right on.
And I think we've been really lucky to be able to do that. So it's kind of been a self-imposed hiatus.
No, it's cool, man. It's a good thing.
Yeah, and honestly, I've settled into my dad life really nicely. So it's actually a little bit of a trick now to kind of turn on the professional life again.
Yeah, we got any young Robs following Daddy's footsteps? You already got them introduced to any instruments? They already...
Yeah, you know what? My son loves classical music.
Oh, yeah?
I mean, he's like a little genius. And, yeah, my kids kind of listen to what I listen to, which is a crack up. And it's like, we went to the Taylor Swift concert. And we went to the Katy Perry thing. That's fine. That's really great. But my kids don't listen to that, Like, my son grabs my phone and he puts on Phantomist, yeah, he thinks it's hilarious, and
Nice.
then he'll go, and so he knows, yeah, they know more Faith No More than they know Taylor Swift.
Love it. Love
whether
it.
that's good or not, I'm not
Yeah,
trying to do that.
man, that's very good.
But that's what they'll do. That's, hey Google, they'll talk, hey Google, play some heavy metal. Like, that's what my daughter would do. And I come into her room and she's jumping around, with her hair, being silly. But if it speaks to him, it speaks to him.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, Doug, thank you so much. And everybody, again, we are here with Doug Robb from Hoobastank. They got their brand new album, Push Pull out. It's out now, so go out to Amazon, go out to iTunes and their website and Facebook.
I'm actually going to go out and buy it, honestly, in the next hour.
Yeah, right on, man. So everybody, again, Push Pull, new Hoobastank album. Go check it out. And they've got their concert coming out. It's going to be on DirectTV, and look for it. Look for the schedule, broadcasting times, and we'll try to put some of that info out there too. But
Yeah, man.
yeah, Doug, thank you so much. It's been a blast, man.
Thanks, man.
All right, later. Thanks again for watching. Please remember to subscribe to us on YouTube and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can also catch us at www.rocktitan.tv.